All right, welcome back to Adobe Photoshop CC. This is the Elements and Principles posters project. So in this tutorial, we're going to cover how to add the color layer and the adjustments to get the contrast that we want out of the image, to give it a more dynamic quality and also allow the text to be more visible in the image. One huge problem with graphic design and design in particular is when you have text on top of an image, it typically is difficult to read, and so adding these little effects will actually enhance the image and make it easier to see. The one thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to change my workspace just slightly. I'm going to drag my layers palette just by grabbing the layers and move it over here. It'll just make it easier to see because I need to have access to my properties palette at the same time, and it's a little awkward to go down and up on there. I can easily just kind of slide along here and then have access to my properties here. So you'll see here I have this color layer here, which basically fills in some color. And I'm going to demonstrate how to do this first. So what I would do is you have your text layers on the top. You can see here I have these three here. And again, if they're below an image, like if this is an issue where you had the type below the image, you would drag it up above the image and then it would become visible. And so you just want to make sure that all the type is on the top part. You can actually hold the shift key after you click on the top layer and then hold the shift on the bottom of the three, and you can group these by hitting Control G, and that will make a group and kind of hide it. Will make it easier to navigate. It's the same thing as clicking on this little folder icon. This is a group icon, and then you can name it. So I can double click on it and call it a text group, for example. So that's what I'm going to do there. And then I have all my photos down here, and then I have some adjustments. I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's create this color layer first. So right above or below this one, I'm going to click on this adjustment layer, and I'm going to click on this little icon right here. It's next to the trash can, and this stands for a new layer icon. So it's to create a new layer. So you can click on new layer, and we have essentially a blank layer. And you can rename these layers just by double clicking on them. So if I want to name this color layer, meaning that color would change, and influence the bottom, I could do that just by typing it in there. And then I can pick whatever color I want. I can use the little color wheel here. I can also double click in that little color picker and pick a color here. And then I can use the paint bucket tool, which is on the side here. Like, let me click OK to click out. It's this tool here. It has a hotkey of G. And you may have the gradient tool selected or hidden with it. So if that's on there, just go down to paint bucket, not the 3D one, but the standard paint buckets in the middle there. And again, you can hit Shift G to rotate through those little tools. And then all I gotta do is click in here, and I have essentially that color, whatever color I want. Make sure you do that on the color layer, not on the actual photo, because that will destroy it. Now, as you can see, it's blocking it completely. I could change the opacity, which is right here, and it would become more transparent. But there are mathematical ways of blending the images and colors and layers below, which is right here. These are called what's known as the blend modes. So instead of normal, I could choose like multiply, or I could choose screen, or I could choose overlay. And all these different blend modes have a different effect. Once you have one selected, you can use the roller of the mouse to kind of roll through all the different blend modes and see what that looks like. I'm going to go back to normal for a second here. If I click on it, these are the ones that darken the pixels. So imagine this, you can see as I go on top of it, each one is sort of affecting and darkening the other image below it. These tend to lighten. These are called the lighten blend modes. And then these are the contrast ones, so overlay. And then these are more effects. And then we have our standard hue, saturation, luminosity. We might get into blend modes a little bit more later on, but for right now, I'm going to choose just overlay on this blend mode. I think will work out okay. That's what I had on the other one. And I'll pick a different color, something a little bit darker, and then click in here, and you can see the way it's affected the image. So I can come in here and just kind of like adjust whatever color I want. I can even pick a slightly different color completely. I could pick a darker blue, make it a little more purple. And you can see it's kind of making the type stand out a little bit more. I can even go into the grayer kind of area and do it that way. And again, if you want to double click on this, sometimes I find this color picker a little bit better because I can see a little easier the darker parts. As you go down, it'll get darker. And so when I click OK here, you can see how it just makes that whole image a little bit darker and a little more intense. It allows the type to stand out quite nice. So that one works pretty good. So in the next tutorial, we'll cover the adjustments. I'm going to break these up a little bit. So that's how you add these color layers. Again, just add the new layer there, and then paint away with a paint bucket. Until next time, see you soon in Adobe Photoshop CC.